Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are talking about everything DIBS Beauty. I would like to start and say I do not have every single product from DIBS, but I will be going over every product that I own from DIBS. Maybe if enough people watch this video, I can afford everything from DIBS and then we'll do a part 2. You've probably heard of DIBS, but if you haven't, they are a smaller makeup company. They recently just launched most of their line in Ulta, so they are getting a lot of attention right now. I have personally loved DIBS for a couple years. They are co-founded by Courtney Shields, who is an influencer. I personally didn't know who she was before I started using DIBS, so I started using the makeup because I liked the makeup and I thought the makeup was good before I ever knew who she was and that she was attached. So I actually didn't know that DIBS was an influencer founded brand. I only found that out like a couple months ago. DIBS actually stands for Desert Island Beauty Status, which I think is such that's a high bar to live up to. You're saying everything you launch is going to be someone's Desert Island Beauty Status product. But in my experience, most things that they launch do end up living up to that status. And so that's one of the reasons that I love the brand so much, is that everything that they put out is a hit for the most part. I have the cream blush and bronzer. This is viral all over TikTok. I have their newest product, their setting spray that launched, I believe this launched last week. And then some of my other absolute favorite products that I have talked about many, many times. If you know what they are, put them in the comments down below. I'm pretty sure some of you have already guessed them. So I'm going to show you all of the shades that I have, all of the products that I have, go into what I like about the products and what I don't like about the products. I will say one of my favorite things about every single DIBS product is that they smell like vanilla. Every single product, including the powders, they all smell like vanilla. I don't know why everything smells like vanilla, but I love it. And I love that it's cohesive like across the brand. Everything smells like vanilla. So like, you know a DIBS product when you smell it, which is so weird. But you know how like memory is tied to scent? I feel like maybe that's what they were doing here. Like when you smell this specific vanilla smell, like you think of DIBS. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So let's start off with the Desert Island Duos. This is the cream blush and bronzer duos. This was the first thing I ever tried from DIBS. You probably see these all over your For You page on TikTok. They clutter up my For You page, but for good reason. This is the shade 1.5. This is the bronzer and this is the blush. So the bronzer in 1.5 and the blush. I love this bronzer because it has more of a reddy undertone. It's really not orange. It's pretty cool toned with that pinky red. And this blush, honestly not my favorite, just because I don't tend to go for peaches, and that is my one complaint about the Desert Island duos, and everyone I have ever talked to has said the same. And it is that the bronzers and the blushes that are paired together, because it comes in a duo, make no sense. Like if you look at the shade ranges, personally, like I would prefer that blush and this bronzer, but this bronzer comes with this blush, but this blush is better paired with that bronzer. Everyone I've ever talked to has said the same thing. That is quite literally my only complaint. So the matching up of the duos, I would prefer different colors to be put together, but what can you do? This formula though is unmatched. It is so creamy. You can sheer it out, you can build it up, you can draw it directly on the face and it doesn't pick up the foundation underneath, which is quite rare. I reach for this all the time. And I'm gonna apply things with the DIBS brush. This is a dual-sided brush. There is a bit of a denser side. It's still a little bit fluffy, but denser side that's meant for like creams, and then a very fluffy side that is meant for powders. So I'm going to use this with the creams and then this with the powders later on. This is this is the softest brush I've ever used, hands down. Like it is just so ridiculously soft. One side I'm going to draw directly on the face, and then the other side I'm going to pick it up directly from the stick, so that way you can see the different applications, whether or not it picks up. On my right side, I am going to draw it on like that. You can see gorgeous tone, gorgeous color. And then I'm going to take the denser side and I'm just going to kind of buff that into my skin. Blend it in like 2 seconds. And it's not orange. It keeps that kind of pinky reddy tone, which is why I love this shade so much. Even as a certified pale, I wouldn't go for the lighter shade because that bronzer is more orange. This, gorgeous. Let me get you real nice and close so you can see. Drawing it on the face didn't pick up anything underneath it. Blend it out in 2 seconds. And then now, just so you can see, I'm gonna pick it up directly from the stick, and then I'm gonna tab it in on this side. I'm honestly not gonna cut this, just so you can see how quickly that applied. Blends out literally like 6 seconds. This is the best bronzer I have ever used. The creamiest, most blendable. You can sheer it out, build it up. I truly don't have any complaints on this formula. It is immaculate. And then I am going to show you the blush just so you can see what it looks like. It's not a bad shade, it's just not my favorite shade, but I will still put it on. I'll blend it out with the same brush as well. You can see not a bad color, not bad by any means. It's still flattering even for a peachy beige kind of color. It's just not what I typically go for. So I personally wouldn't have paired those two colors together, but I mean, the formula is insane. Pretty sure this stick is their most popular product, and for good reason. If you were on the fence about trying these, now they have these in Ulta stores as well, so you can go into Ulta and swatch, play with the formula in store if you're not sure. If you were on the fence about these, I would highly recommend them. They are fantastic. And one thing also that I didn't know when I first got these, the side with the denser black stripes is the bronzer, and the side with the lighter black stripes is the blush. That is the same on every Duo product. Okay, I just set my face with the new L'Oreal Blurfaction Setting Powder. Videos on TikTok if you want to watch it. Now let's get into my other most favorite DIBS product of all time, and that is their Duet Baked Bronzer, specifically in the shade Vanilla Latte. You guys have seen me talk about this product ad nauseum because it is the most perfect bronzer on fair skin. Look at how sheer and neutral that is. It is so light and sheer that it is going to work for the palest of the pale skin tones. I do not know of another brand that makes a bronzer this light. Again, this is the shade Vanilla Latte, one of the only bronzers on planet Earth that does not pull orange on me, that is marketed as a bronzer. Look at the dent that is in this bronzer. You can tell I really don't reach for this side much. But so this is the plain side. You can see very light, very sheer, very neutral. And then this is that more marbled side that has a little bit of shine to it. You can see much deeper and much warmer in tone than the plain side. However, they are both absolutely beautiful. Both have a sheen to them. It is a very creamy, very blendable baked formula. I just tend to stick just to that plain side because I am Snow White. Because of how sparingly, I guess, I tend to apply bronzers, I don't reach for this brush, but we are going to be using this for the powder blush coming up. I'm gonna take a slightly smaller fluffy brush, and then I'm just gonna dip into this side because that is the side that I use the most. And I'm just gonna go over where we already put that cream product, but now that we have set it with powder, some of that pigment has, you know, been erased. You're gonna see just how lightly and easily this shade warms up the skin. It's going to be very evident on my forehead. You can see just from that, I didn't apply that much, but there's a definite difference, very slight, but a definite difference between this side and this side, which personally being white as snow, that is what I look for. I don't want a bronzer that is going to be overpowering on my face, that's going to change the shade of my face, or that's going to be super obvious, too deep, too orange, that it just looks strange and like it doesn't belong on my face. I love this bronzer because it is so light, so natural, and I feel like so many brands focus on more pigment, more pigment, more pigment, and sometimes we don't need that. Sometimes I want something really pigmented, but not in my bronzer, because I like that I can still use a good amount of this and blend it out. I don't need to only use like a tiny little dot and then try and get that to blend out all over my face. I like that I can use a decent hand with this product, and it's just going to subtly warm up my skin. Love this, highly recommend. I've talked about this a million bajillion times. I am not gonna spend too much time here. I will link videos where I talk about this as well. And then next we have the Duet Baked Blushes, which I believe is the same formula as the bronzers, but just blushes. I have the shade Pop Star, so you can see it has a nice cool toned pink and then a sort of reddy side. These are quite sheer, and I would liken them more to a blush lighter than an actual blush. You can see they are very sheer and very shimmery. So it's definitely that 2-in-1 blush lighter kind of product, not just a blush. If you don't want a glowy blush, do not go for these. That is kind of the reason that this is my least favorite product from DIBS that I have. I still like it, I love it, I still use it, but if I had to rank them, this would definitely be at the bottom just because it's not an everyday product for me. Because not every day I'm in the mood for a blush lighter. Some days I am, some days I want a really glowy cheek. Other days I don't. So it's not something that I consistently use on a daily basis, where the other products are my, you know, desert island beauty status. So I am going to use the big fluffy brush just because I apply blush with a little bit more reckless abandon than I do bronzer. I like to be a little bit more particular about where I put that, but this big old fluffy brush is gonna work perfectly for this. We're gonna have a very glowy cheek, all right? I'm just gonna dip into both because can't really avoid it. And then you're gonna see it's pretty sheer, but it's gonna add a lot of glow to the cheek. Almost before it adds any pigment, it's gonna add a ton of glow. And I'm trying not to get it into my hair right here. So we have a very glowy cheek, but we don't have a very pigmented cheek yet. Very slight difference from over there. I'm really gonna try and build up the color, but when you try and build up the color, it also builds up the glow. You have to really love like a Sabrina Carpenter level glowy cheek to use these, which is definitely a look I want to do sometimes, but not every day. Again, hence why it is not in that top tier. So what was that? 3 times I dipped in to get this color payoff. So very, very sheer, but quite glowy. But it's it's gorgeous. This color Pop Star is also really nice. And I think because the formula is so sheer, I don't think all of the shades are going to work on every skin tone. But I think if you are very fair like myself and you have trouble finding things that aren't too pigmented for your skin tone, you can even go for the deeper shades and they're going to apply very lightly on your skin tone. Like they have a really deep mauve. I believe it's called Backstage. They have like a very deep mauve that I want so bad. It is a beautiful blush lighter, but if you're just looking for a blush, I maybe wouldn't recommend this. This is very, very glowy and quite sheer, so you do have to build it up a lot to get a lot of glow. I know I'm repeating myself over and over again, but I just want to make sure that you know. Okay, now let's move into the lip products. I have the Jam Jam lipstick melts. They have 6 shades total. I have 5 of those shades. That is how much I love this formula. I was sent 3 shades in PR and then I went back and I bought 2 of them because this formula has been my everyday staple go-to lipstick formula. I have the shades Blueberry Ice, which is just a kind of sheer with a blue hue to it. Raspberry Marmalade, which is a reddy raspberry pink kind of color. Big Fantasy, which is kind of a beigey honey nude. Rhubarb Pie, which is warm rosy lipstick. And then my most used Jam Jam is Jam Sesh. This shade sold out almost instantly when they launched. It is everyone's favorite. It's just this gorgeous cool toned rosy color. And the 6th shade is Date Night, I believe it's called, or First Date. I think it's First Date. I'll put a picture on the screen because I do not have that one. And what I love so much about these is that they are very versatile. You can apply them sheer, you can build them up, you can put on the color and then kind of blot that shine away. They do have a slight tingle to them. They say that they're a little bit plumping. I definitely notice a slight plump and the tingle is not too strong. It's definitely gonna hurt a little bit if you're not used to lip plumping products. Blueberry Ice on its own, it is very striking. It is very cool toned, almost like a dead look, but not quite there. I love to use this a lot as a topper, and you can see that blue tint really does make your teeth look whiter. That is an old makeup hack. That is why a lot of red lipsticks will be blue toned rather than orange toned, because blue just makes your teeth look a little bit whiter. So I love using this as a topper for other lip combos to help maybe cool it down in tone if it's pulling a bit too warm, or if I just want my teeth to look a little bit whiter. And Fig Fantasy is so gorgeous because it's kind of like that caramelly honey beige color, but it does not pull orange on me, which is such a struggle to find kind of like a beigey nude lip color in that like caramelly honey family that doesn't pull orange, because they all do on my skin tone, but this one doesn't. So a really gorgeous nude. I love wearing this on its own, but I also think this is like the perfect kind of lip combo starter because it is kind of more of like that neutral. It can go with a warm lip liner, a cool lip liner. If you want to cool this down, I'm going to put a little bit of Blueberry Ice on top so you can see how gorgeous Blueberry Ice is as a topper. And now my teeth look whiter. So if you want something to mix and match into like any and all lip combos, Fig Fantasy is the one to do that with. And Jam Sesh is my everyday go-to kind of color. It's just a nice cool toned rosy nude color. This is going to go with everything. You can pair this with a warmer lip liner if you want to warm it up, or sometimes I will pair it with Rhubarb Pie, which we will get to next, because this is like a cool tone rose and that one's more of like a warm tone rose, so you mix them together, it's just gorgeous. But I wear this all the time on the daily with this look. It's just stunning. I think that this shade will work for so many people. It is the most popular shade from DIBS. And now Rhubarb Pie. I like to think of Rhubarb Pie as Jam Sesh's kind of warmer sister, because still very pink, very rosy, very girly and beautiful, can work well. Any skin tone, any sort of lip combo is just gonna add a beautiful rosiness to it, but just a little bit more on that warm side. So you show you on the hands too. This is Rhubarb Pie and this is Jam Sesh. So very similar, just kind of like a difference in tone. And now that I've applied like 4 of these at once, my lips are very tingly, but I'm gonna apply Jam Sesh over top, kind of in the middle, so you can see what I mean by when I mix the tones. it just becomes like a gorgeous kind of neutral rose. And then Raspberry Marmalade is the only one that I apply with a mirror because it is just the boldest color out of all of them. It is a very pinky red raspberry kind of color. But while it is bold, it is still very wearable because even if I want to, let's take this off because you don't need to be intimidated by this. If I just apply it lightly, super sheer, easy, raspberry, semi-glossy lip. So that's what I mean when I say they are all so versatile. You can wear them in so many different ways, and all of the colors are extremely flattering. They got the undertones just right on all of them. And the bullets themselves are extremely creamy. They just glide across the lips with no problems at all, no skips. They just, like, they're super creamy. They are called a lipstick melt. They definitely like melt on the warmth of your lips. I don't like go back and buy multiple shades of products. I own 5 of them because I wear them every occasion that I get, every single day. Going out, staying in, just want a little bit something, want to amp up my lip look a little bit. These can do it. They are such a phenomenal formula. And lastly, we have DIBS' newest product. This is their LoveBeam setting spray. This you might be able to see here. It is a bi-phase formula. You can see some of it kind of coming down the sides right there. I had it on its side, so that's why it's a little bit messed up right now. You do have to shake it to kind of mix it all together. This is supposed to blur, balance, hydrate, prep, set, and extend your makeup. So it's supposed to do like everything, which is kind of hard to achieve because most sprays that are hydrating don't add that longevity to your makeup. They don't have those film formers, and the ones that do add that longevity tend to be pretty matte, and they tend to not be hydrating, almost suck that hydration out of your face. So this is supposed to do both, and I feel like this is kind of a very popular thing right now. I know Kosas, I think, just launched one that's very similar, and so did Huda Beauty. So it's supposed to hydrate without being too shiny, and they say a glassy matte finish, which doesn't make sense. But what I think they're going for is more of like a satin finish. Like your face is set, it's matte but not flat, like a demi-matte lit from within kind of glow is what it's supposed to be. And one thing that they point out about this is that it has kombucha extract in it, which did worry me a little bit at first because I tend to get like fungal acne on my forehead, which typically for me is caused by using fermented ingredients, specifically like Saccharomyces. When I saw that in the ingredients list, I was like, ooh, I'm a little bit nervous, but I have been using this every single day for the past like week or two. I have not noticed any fungal acne popping up. I think it's because that ferment is coming from tea. That kombucha, it's from tea, it's not from yeast. That's why like Tatcha products, they all have Saccharomyces ferment filtrate, but it's from rice, not yeast. But the ordinary Saccharomyces milky toner, that does get me fungal acne on my forehead because that is derived from yeast. So I found out that my issue is with yeast and not with ferments, all of them. So shake it up. This is what my makeup is looking like right now. We are already kind of matte, a little bit glow on the cheeks, but everything else is pretty matte. So let's do a little bit of a spritz and see. It's a decently fine mist. It's not the finest mist I've ever used. I feel like we are a little bit more glowy, especially on the forehead, just like a little bit more. Not glassy, like we're not glass skin, we're not super shiny, but my skin feels ever so slightly tight. But after a setting spray, I kind of don't mind that because that means that, you know, like the films are forming and it's going to extend my makeup. So that's not against it. That's actually a pro. And I do notice that this does extend the wear of my makeup. However, this doesn't make my makeup transfer proof. There are some setting sprays that I have that I will like kind of swipe my hand over my face and my makeup doesn't budge. That is not the case with this, but my makeup does last in like a light rain outside. It was raining all last week and I was going outside, had this on my face, came in and my makeup wasn't messed up. So I do really enjoy this. I think my skin looks really good. Haven't had any adverse reactions to it. It smells delicious. And it works. It does exactly what it says it's gonna do. I love when a product does that. And that is everything that I own from DIBS. My favorite is by far probably the Desert Island Duo Cream Blush and Bronzer and the Jam Jams, and then the powder bronzer, and then the setting spray, and then the blush. So in that order. But you really can't go wrong. The brand is called Desert Island Beauty Status for a reason. Their products are absolutely phenomenal. I really hope that you enjoyed this and you got some good information. If you were thinking about buying any of these things from DIBS, hopefully my review was helpful to you. Let me know if there's anything else from DIBS or anything else that you want to see happening on my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.